So my name is Steve Patrizzi. I look after the advertising sales organization at LinkedIn. And we had some pretty good news about a month and a half ago. We recently crossed the 100 million member mark. There are now 100 million members who are part of LinkedIn. We're very excited about that. Thank you. I'd like to see a quick show of hands. How many people in this room received an email from our founder, Reid Hoffman? Anybody? Okay. Your hands are up. That's good. That's a good number. So for those of you whose hands went up, you know why you got it. For those whose hands did not go up, we sent an email out to the first 1 million members who joined LinkedIn as a thank you for helping us build the business and create this platform. And we send out quite a bit of email, reminding people of their updates, what's happening in their network. This, hands down, was one of the most successful emails we've ever sent. We had so much positive feedback. And we noticed on Twitter, people were very proud of their number. So in the email that you received, it would have your member number. And just for a fun little trivia, you can actually go to your own profile, and up in the URL, there will be a little ID equals, and that has your number. That's your number when you join the network. So people were pretty excited about it. They were bragging about it on Twitter. I bring it up because at the beginning we opened up this event saying that we want to make sure you guys have something to take back to the office. Saying thank you is a really good thing. Your customers really do appreciate it. Don't forget to do it. We have a very singular purpose at LinkedIn. We think about one thing, and that's it. And we wake up in the morning, and that's all we care about. We want to help professionals be more productive and successful. We want to help everyone accelerate their own career trajectory. And when you think about what is one of the biggest contributors to someone's professional success, you can boil it down to decisions. Right? We make decisions about everything. We decide about strategies. We decide about priorities for our businesses. We decide about products we're going to sell. We make decisions about products that we're going to buy to run our businesses. And if you make a great decision, then your business does well, you get promoted, your career trajectory takes off. If you don't make a good decision, there's a slightly different outcome. But we think about what kind of software should we run our business on? What financial services institution will give us the benefits that will allow us to retain and attract the best in the business? And if you hire great people, your business will be very successful. The problem is that decision making is arguably harder than ever, in large part because we have unprecedented access to information. There's too much content now. It is staggering how much content there is. Newsweek had a cover story about a month ago talking about the fact that the human brain was not designed to process the amount of information it is being blasted with every single day. And technology is a big part of this. The social ecosystem is a big part of it, right? Content creation is incredibly inexpensive right now. Anybody can do it, and they are. And you see the numbers off the charts and the amount of sharing. And so it's become incredibly difficult now for decision makers to make decisions, to find the information that matters to them. And yet your ability to make fast and smart decisions has an incredible amount of impact on your career trajectory. So at LinkedIn, that's what we're trying to do. We are trying to help connect the world's professionals so that you can look to other experts, look to other individuals, look to other professionals who can help you sift through the information and make a decision. And so ultimately, we create this environment where people are coming to LinkedIn to build relationships and make decisions. Find the information insights to help them make decisions. It might be about what company should I work for. It might be about should I hire this individual. It might be, again, should I bet the company on this software platform. And I know there's someone else who's made that decision somewhere in the world in a company just like mine who has made that decision that can probably help me decide whether I should do it too. And so the more we can connect these people, the better off they can manage their careers. Now, for them to build relationships, they have to supply a tremendous amount of data about themselves. Right? It's an introduction. Here's who I am. Here's why you should build a relationship with me. Here's what I do for a living. Here's my seniority level, my company size, my industry, my geography, all this information that I am now broadcasting out to the world. And that data really puts us in a data as a service type business where the more data people are putting in, the more value they're getting out of it. That's good for our members. It's also good for the marketers because that data can be used for incredibly precise targeting at massive scale, which in the business-to-business space really hasn't been available before. I spent 10 years at the Wall Street Journal, and when I was there, our circulation of 2 million was considered mass reach for business audiences, and now there's this global audience of 100 million. And by the way, 1 million join every week, so it's growing quite aggressively. The last item I would just mention is that there are a number of people in this industry who have created this myth that advertising or marketing in social platforms is really difficult, and you can't use any of the lessons you've learned before to apply here. You have to reinvent the playbook. You've got to start from scratch and recreate the wheel. And I'm here to say that's just simply not true. It's very, very easy. Most of the marketers that are getting a lot of value out of LinkedIn are running the same exact creative messages that they're running on other platforms. They're just applying that targeting I just mentioned that's available at massive scale. And they recognize that they're now in an environment where people are building relationships and making decisions. And for most B2B marketers, that's what you're trying to accomplish too, right? You want to build relationships with customers, and you want to help them make a decision to buy from you. And so I would be careful about that myth. There are a number of companies, again, that their revenue model depends on making you feel that this is more complex than it really is. It doesn't have to be. There are more things you can do. They'll require more investment, more resources, but it doesn't have to be that way. So that's what I wanted to share with you guys today. Thank you.
I should have gone last. I joined, as Elizabeth said, I joined Current Television after a long career at MTV and a shorter one at Vice Media about a year and a half ago to manage a project that became known as Creation Studios. And the mission of Creation Studios and the project was to create a new level of social engagement with the audience in creating our content. It's a partnership with Will Wright, who I'm sure many of you know is the genius behind the Sims franchise, best-selling PC game of all time. And we wanted to do no less than create a level of audience participation that no one had ever done before, from the conception of the show through the development of characters and storylines and on through the actual stories of a weekly series. And that is what we did over the course of many months, and we just wrapped up the season a few weeks ago. And together with three great brand partners, AT&T, Zinc from American Express, and Mazda, we really created a new level of participation on mobile, on social platforms, on the web, and then obviously ultimately on television. And the process was truly unique. So I'm going to as I usually do, let the video talk a little bit. Why don't you roll the tape and tell a little bit about the process that we made, the show that became known as Bar Karma. We don't talk a lot about the show, so first let me give you a little setup. We created this audience, we created this beta community who literally came up with the show idea. We had a blank slate that we gave to them. We entered into a conversation between the producers in this community, and they came up with an idea that was very cool, a sci-fi show really on the model of the Twilight Zone, of a time-traveling bar, and every week a new guest would come in and find themselves at a karmic crossroads of their life, and the owner, bartender, and waitress of this bar would help people through the decisions of their life, through sort of life-saving and ultimately, in certain cases, world-saving implications. So roll the tape and I'll talk about it. What the video tells you is that what we did was a conversation from the producers to the community, telling us storylines from big overarching who the characters were, where the plot line should go, to small details about naming a drink in a bar or sending us a photo that should run in a picture frame. All levels of engagement that we were able to kind of entice an audience and get that level of emotional investment in the show. And our belief was, and it was proven, that once people are emotionally invested in the process, that they would come back and watch the show. What it also created was a really unique production process, which I don't recommend for anyone. We were developing shows from idea stage to air in about 5 weeks. So we were writing them, shooting them, editing, approving them through legal, all sorts of matters in about 5 weeks. But the results were pretty spectacular. We came up with a show that we're really proud of. High quality. Again, this was not user-generated content. I guess I should have said that in the setup. The idea was to engage an audience, but for professionally produced programming. We weren't looking for cats on skateboards. We were looking for a show that we were proud of, that we would produce. And again, that back and forth between the community and a professional production team. We brought a guy named Albie Hecht and his company called Worldwide Biggies. Albie was a former president of entertainment at Nickelodeon, who really took on this challenge of listening to the community and creating storylines based on them. So we came up with a great show, 3 sponsors integrated on all aspects of the show, great buzz, both from the consumer press and trade press. Jack Myers just named Current as top 4 in brand integration, multi-platform integration, which is pretty spectacular for a network of our size. But probably most importantly, we learned a lot. We learned a lot from the audience of what they were looking for, and that'll inspire us, in future seasons of Bar Karma if we continue to produce it, other shows through this process, but really in anything we do. Keith Olbermann coming up on Current soon, a great show called Fourth and Forever. And when you get deeply immersed with the audience, you can't help but learn what they're looking for, how to interact with them. And I think that was probably the even greatest value of the experiment of Bar Karma, was really giving yourselves over to that conversation with the community. And I think it'll inspire Current's programming and a lot of other networks going forward. So.
Thank you.
And the video was great. I'll
Great
put
video.
it up online for everybody to see.
Yeah, there's one that I think is just a great example of how a brand leverages the space. So HP was very, very interested in building relationships with small businesses. And for those of you who market to small businesses, you understand that's a very difficult process for a big company to build a relationship with a small business. Small businesses are typically rather skeptical of big businesses. For them, it's the hardest thing in the world to imagine. How could a big company possibly understand what my world is all about? And so HP could have gone a couple different ways. They could have, and looking back on that, they recognized that we had a very large audience of small business professionals on LinkedIn. They could have gone down the path of, hey, we want to create a community on LinkedIn that's all about HP. It's how great we are, and people come in and talk about how awesome they think we are. Or we could create a community that's all about them and what they care about and what matters to them. And we underwrite it, we make it possible for these small businesses to, again, build relationships with other small businesses to help them find the information and the insights that will help them in turn be successful. And so they built a platform on LinkedIn. They leveraged our group's platform called Small Biz Nation. And Small Biz Nation was moderated and managed by a former editor of Inc. magazine. So they wanted to make sure that they had someone in there who could really represent the voice of small business. They leveraged the targeting technology that we have to be able to invite small business professionals into that group. And it was interesting to see what happened. So there was one instance where someone asked a question, I'm a sole proprietor, and I would love to know, can I deduct my expenses? Can I deduct my cohort expenses on my taxes? And a few other people jumped in and said, I'm in the same exact boat you're in. I'd love to know the answer to that. And an HP employee jumped into the conversation, and they said, we don't have the answer for you, but here are some links to a company called SCORE. SCORE provides free counseling to small businesses. I bet you'll find the answer there. And for everyone who participated in that conversation, for everyone who witnessed that conversation, they recognized that HP was really practicing what it was preaching in its marketing, that we are here to help small businesses. We are here to help you be successful and find what you need to grow your business. Now later on, there were some real residual benefits. Someone posted a question to HP, I'm a real estate professional. Do you offer tablets? Tablet computers, I'd love to be able to run around and just have my contract signed right there on the spot. And a few other professionals jumped in and said, yes, as a matter of fact, I've seen other real estate professionals use HP tablets in the field. That opened the door for HP to come in and start talking about the products that were designed for real estate professionals. But that conversation became very organically, and then they stayed very organically. So to me, that's a great example of how you really start to kind of prove that you are interested in what you're saying you're interested in doing in your marketing, actually showcase the actions.